Okay, welcome everybody to the Boston Office 365 user group. We're usually the third Thursday of each month. Let's get this slide going.
What?
So my name is Bill Gunning. I'm a technical lead. I work at the Commonwealth of Mass. Dimitri, who's remote, one of our partners, Turn Digital, is one of our sponsors, and David Pileggi on the call, Office 365 engineer at Staples.
Absolutely.
So we're just going to do a quick rundown of our updates, sponsor highlights, and then a featured speaker. And then afterwards, we'll go back to our slides and do some Q&A and do some community involvement. This session, using Office help and built-in tutorials to level up your Office skills. I missed that one. I had to do some editing on the video. That'll be up probably within a couple of weeks. So I'm running a little behind from the summer here. Having too much fun. Office 365 updates since last time. David, feel free to jump in. Windows 10 will be reaching end of service on October 14th. I know in the Commonwealth it's a thing for us. Supposedly they mean it this time.
And you've got to be careful. You've got to be careful because if you have Microsoft Team Room systems, keep in mind those also need to be brought to Windows 11. If you had Microsoft Team Room systems for a while, you better start dancing now because I'll tell you right now, things are going to get a little hairy if you do not, because there's a large push lately for new Team Room systems.
Oh, cool. And I know, yeah, you can purchase extended security updates. So that's been a big push this time. They're just shutting them off unless you purchase the extended security. So, excellent.
Yeah, so this one I actually did a YouTube short on. So one of the things happened once the integration between Microsoft Intra B2B, a lot of those who are using that when you were sharing with people external from your own tenant, they kind of got locked out. They need to be re-added. They need to be re-invited. Those guest accounts will need to be recreated due to the fact that it was basically a clean sweep when this integration happened. Something to keep in mind. So yeah, that's a thing.
The B2C still stay there. People with Microsoft accounts or other accounts if they were enabled, but just the B2B only. People with external Azure AD at their place of business.
Correct. So you wanted to kind of keep an eye on things. It would be recommended, especially if you're in a large firm or a large organization, to actually do a communication with everyone, because you do not know most likely who has shared externally. So it's something to kind of keep in mind. You definitely want to keep business running and the collaboration hot and heavy, as the saying goes.
Okay, the SharePoint video sharing. I know SharePoint's been improved to the video. Anything you ran into this on this, David?
So one of the things that that's happening is, and I'm going to kind of do a let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and pull a Johnny Carson. Give me 2 seconds. All right, here we go. So what's going to be happening pretty soon is they're going to most likely allow for a new type of site collection that is going to be that of similar to YouTube, where you'll be able to actually have an entire environment specifically designed for that. That is something that I am calling, because that's one of the reasons why they're doing the updates to SharePoint video. Like, for example, their video editing, they ripped it out and they're rebuilding it, and they're going to be putting that back in. If they have not already, I know that's supposedly coming sooner than later, but that's one of the things that you want to keep up with, because of the fact that that is going to actually be really, really interesting to see where Microsoft takes it.
I'd be interested to see if they're going to let you the videos in the site collection, or is it going to end up storing somewhere else?
So as you can see, there's links. So there's two ways of handling it. One, you could actually make a view list, which is already a thing. Basically, think of a SharePoint list that actually is a bunch of pointers to different videos. That's one thing that they have done. Oh, they're calling it Stream Pro. Yeah, they're going to add Stream Pro, the Ad Pro, so they can charge you a bit extra.
Sure. It makes it more efficient, probably storing it somewhere else. They can do different type of storage, and yeah.
Which would be absolutely amazing. So if you could use Azure Blob Storage, for example, for large quantities of videos, then that would certainly be something to be seen. That's the reason why it's called a video link versus the actual file.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right, mail bombing detection technology at Microsoft Defender.
Huge. It's very large. With all the bad guys seeming to be multiplying at a alarming rate out there. Mail bombing, where, let's face it, the good thing about companies is they have a naming convention for email. The bad news about companies is they have a naming convention for email. Therefore, if they know somebody in your organization and they know the naming convention for your company, guess what? All you have to do is go to LinkedIn and run a little script, find all the people in Staples, find out their names, and like 95% of those emails will be correct because of the fact that they know your naming convention. So this is one of the biggest things that I can see personally is a win for Microsoft, because mail bombing or has been quite an issue for quite some time, and especially when it comes to phishing type email.
Yep. I know they're even using the redirects links, even the links that Microsoft Marketing uses. Like I got some marketing from Microsoft, and I found a spam email was using the same redirect links. I was just like, they're getting good.
Yep.
Yeah. Teams desktop.
Let's see here. Okay, so the Teams desktop experience for search has been okay, but however, they're continuing to work on it and to continue to improve it. One of the things that they're also including is not only are the meetings that are coming, but the meetings that you've had, so that if you do a search on that, so it's, for example, if you have Copilot and you've turned on transcription, what's going to end up happening is when you do a search, it'll even go into the transcriptions, in the recaps, such as if you have Teams Premium, for example, and you actually had Teams Premium like write notes specifically for the meeting that you just had, it'll also look into those as well. So I definitely see a lot. I know I'm missing a whole bunch, but those are the ones that kind of jumped out at me, and definitely looking forward to it.
Next slide.
All right. Oh, good times. So basically the punchline on this is the fact that any of those of you who are using phone calls through Microsoft Teams, the PSTN calls will fail starting November 1st, meaning outbound. There's a configuration change that's coming. They're going. All that has to do with security. If memory serves correctly, I do apologize. I usually forget what I had for breakfast, so I should have probably rechecked this. But the long and the short of it is, due to security concerns and updates, one of the things you're going to have to be is on the ball. Keep an eye on things. I would say mid to late October. They should have all the new types of configurations that you're going to need by then. And again, I'm pulling a Johnny Carson on that, but they will give you time to react accordingly to those new configurations.
So is this just a policy change, or is there a licensing component to this as well?
So, as you can see from the first bullet point, it's the pay-as-you-go. I'm not quite entirely sure. I'd have to look into that more, Mike. I do apologize.
No, that's all right. Okay.
I know you use it, Mike, right? Yeah.
I do. Yeah. We use it at Wellington Street Consulting for all of our business lines, and it's fantastic. So
yeah, you're definitely going to keep an eye out as you get closer to mid to late October. So that way, if there's no gotchas, if you will.
That's fine.
Okay, so the ability to actually have files that are attached to group chats and to external chats is getting updated. I don't know if many of you have realized when you're talking, like for example, Staples does have Open Federation, and one of the things that was always a problem was the fact that we could not share files with external people through this means or this method due to our security concerns, as well as that was just not a thing. So that is actually going to be, if it has not already rolled out, it will roll out pretty soon. Let's see. So conditional access policy in your tenant. Let's see, August 4th has actually passed already. So this is something that has already happened. And let's see here. One of the biggest ones that policy is going to enforce is MFA. So if you share externally and you have a lot of external shares, for whatever reason, if domains are flagged, if it comes from a region that has heavy, let's just say, traffic from bad agents, there's a high likelihood that is going to kick in and require MFA and ensure that the MFA is registered if they have not yet already.
Okay.
All right, ChatGPT 5. So as you guys can kind of guess, Copilot was built off of ChatGPT 4 large language model. So as Microsoft always does, is they want to continue to stay cutting edge. And in order to do so, ChatGPT 5 has been out for a bit, and Copilot is going to be utilizing that same power, the same features, however, with the same protection that you would expect where the large language model is not trained by anything that is covered by your tenant. Something to keep in mind, and definitely something to ensure that you continue to talk to your associates, your employees, to be sure that they know where or what AI that they're using, and two, how to use it appropriately so that they're not the next Samsung.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I agree, Laura. ChatGPT 5 is definitely next gen material.
And Copilot's awesome now with it. It's like incredibly improved.
Right, exactly. What I'm hoping for, Laura, is that the amount of hallucinations that I was witnessing at least decreases by, I don't know, 50%. All right. Speaking of Copilot, let's talk about the Search General availability. So one of the things that is going to happen is users with an eligible I'm quite excitable, apparently. Let's try that one more time for posterity's sake. Eligible Microsoft 365 Copilot license. the unified search experience is going to be literally everything that they have access to. You kind of expect it from M365 search. Well, now Copilot search is also on that as well. So if you have that Copilot license, and then you're going to be able to do search in Copilot. And not only is it going to be just Copilot, it's going to be SharePoint, it's going to be everything else in between, your OneDrive, and let's see, what else? I believe your Exchange, so your Outlook, as well as more than that. And they keep continuing to add different connectors to different parts of the M365 experience. So that's going to definitely make things interesting. I don't know, and I'm hoping against hope that it's also going to include the Power Automate and the Power Apps as well, because that would absolutely rock. Just saying.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Copilot and Planner. Oh, this is new. I'm learning something new today, y'all.
Me too.
All right. So users licensed with only Planner or Project Plan 3 or 5 will lose access to Copilot and Planner preview, and that's one of the things I got a lot of things to say about that, but I'm going to behave myself today. Long story short, if you ever see preview, play with it. Feel free to play with it. I would not recommend putting it into production unless you're like, down the road, it's most likely going to cost something. And so I'm putting in production with that knowledge that I will be paying for it later. It's just the nature of the beast. They want to have as many individuals across the globe being able to test out these products, because let's face it, an end user can find things that programmers could never think of.
Yep.
And the first dime bag is free.
Exactly, Paul.
All right, that's it for the updates. And then huge thank you to Turn Digital for sponsoring the user group. We are working on an in-person meeting for one of our upcoming meetings, so stay tuned.
And we will still have it as hybrid. So for those of you who are not in the Boston area, do not fret. We love each and every single one of you, as the saying goes. And so we will continue to do a hybrid environment. And yes, you'll have to have virtual pizza instead of real pizza. But long and the short of it is, we definitely want to continue to increase our community, because that's what makes M365 that much better, is the community itself.
And with no further ado, so the main event, boosting Teams efficiency, easy automation with Teams workflows. That's about Laura.
All right.
Oh.
There we go. My screen. Okay. All right, I'm sharing, right? Okay. Make sure. Okay.
You are indeed.
You are, yeah.
Okay. I have this teleprompter that acts as a third screen. So I'm looking at the presenter view, but I'm looking at the camera through the teleprompter. Isn't that cool? Anyway, since we're talking about technology. Okay, so welcome to Boosting Team Efficiency, Easy Automation with Teams Workflows. This is pretty high level. It's going to be nothing super complicated, but just a lot of like little nuances and integration points between Teams and Power Automate. I'm Laura Rogers, and I have my own company. It is called IW Mentor. It stands for Information Worker Mentor. And it's all online self-paced courses in all of these products: SharePoint, Power Automate, Power Apps, Teams, Planner, Copilot. It's 45 plus or so hours of just all video courses on all of this stuff. So I've been an MVP for 15 years. I've been using SharePoint for 20 years. We were just talking about how old we are. You can find my blog at wonderlaura.com, and here are some of my little social links here. And then with the QR code, it just takes you to a page that's got just all those same social links. The agenda for this session is going to be, we'll talk about just an introduction, what is Power Automate, what is Teams, some benefits of automation and examples, and then integrating Power Automate with Teams and identifying automation opportunities, especially if you've never built any automation before, just kind of how to think about it, and some real life examples and best practices in troubleshooting. So again, this is more of kind of like a level 100 type of a session about just introducing just getting familiar with what's possible with automation and making your personal productivity, increasing your personal productivity. So first of all, we're going to talk about just how to achieve just effortless automation and how just all these little places that you'll be able to find that Microsoft makes it easy to automate your day, and start thinking about it that way, and start thinking about it as every little thing that you do, how you can make it more efficient. So of course, what is Power Automate? You can go to make.powerautomate.com, or you can go to it in the gear menu. And it's just a tool for automating routine tasks and workflows. Anybody can go to Power Automate, even if you just have just a Windows Live account. Power Automate is available. It's considered part of the Power Platform, and it connects to thousands of different apps and services and databases. So not just Microsoft products, but all of them. And then we've got what is Teams. Of course, Teams gives you the ability to have contextual conversations. So the main idea behind it is, instead of everything just being personal chats, you can have context to your chats by putting them all in your teams and channels, and context to just kind of everything that you're doing in here, which it makes it easy to organize and find later. Okay, just some benefits to automation: increased efficiency, consistency, improved productivity, and enhanced collaboration and real-time insights. So once you start kind of noticing things that you're doing throughout the day that are kind of maybe rote tasks that they feel like a waste of time, start thinking about how it's possible to maybe do that in a more efficient way. And there are a lot of integrations between all the different Microsoft products that allow for this, that allow you to quickly be able to do something, do things across the products. So that's a lot of the things that I'm going to be highlighting today are going to be just kind of little interesting ways that these two products happen to integrate. But of course, there's integration everywhere you look. I'm doing a PowerPoint presentation. There's a button in PowerPoint to present to Teams, and from within Teams you can choose your PowerPoint. So they kind of go make sure to include all those in the products. So noticing these things is just one way that you can increase your efficiency and enhance your collaboration. So Power Automate and Teams integration, we're going to go over a few things: how to start approvals from within Teams, how to create flows from within Teams, which are called workflows in Teams. I feel like they're gradually starting to bring the word workflows back. It's like SharePoint Designer workflows were what were considered workflows before, and then Power Automate, they're called flows. And so they're starting to call them workflows again. Just kind of you'll notice that more and more places. Automate tasks in Teams using Power Automate. Use Teams connectors when creating flows, and you can even create adaptive cards and flows to be sent in Teams, and use the flow bot to trigger flows from within Teams. So these are all the things that I'll be discussing and demonstrating. How long do I have, by the way? Is it an hour? Just kind of as long as it takes? Maybe.
An hour's fine. If you want to go like read War and Peace while you're at it, that's fine too.
Okay, thanks. All right, so here is the concept of starting approvals from within Teams. So I'm in Teams. And what I can do is I can go to, there's actually an approvals app. So the approvals app is going to the ability, first of all, if you don't see it down that left side in Teams, you can just click the ellipsis and you can add it there, but then you can also pin it so that it stays there if you want to use it all the time. So you can add approvals to Teams, and once you add that app, then you're going to have, it's a similar interface to what you have when you go to make.powerautomate.com and you click approvals over on the left. This is a similar interface. So it's going to show you all your approvals that you have going on. And you can see they have several different other little integrations here, like the Adobe Sign, the DocuSign, and then the SharePoint e-signature. And so it's going to show you anytime you got, maybe somebody created a flow that sent you an approval, or just any approvals that are ever sent to you or approvals that you've received, then you're just going to see those on this screen. So you might see a lot of information when you go here. So it gives you the ability to export this whole list. You can filter the list to just and kind of look at things that you receive versus things that you've sent. And then you can click new approval request. But you also have down here at the very bottom, at the bottom left, create or manage templates. So I'm just going to click new approval request, and I can see that I'm just creating I can create a very basic request, but all those templates, if you are a Teams admin, you can create templates, and those are all the ones that say org wide, and those are the ones that you can customize. And then now Adobe Sign and DocuSign are, of course, third-party products. If your company has purchased Adobe Sign Enterprise, and same thing with DocuSign, then you'd be able to use those. Those aren't just free though, so it's going to actually make you authenticate to those services if you want to do that from within here. So then I'm just kind of showing you all the different little templates that exist here, and these are really just Microsoft Forms. So I'll create a basic request, and you've got a few things that you can do here. You can you name your request to say who the approvers are, whether you want to request a response from all the approvers or not. And then you can just kind of put several people's names there. And it just gives you a couple of really basic fields like priority and details, and then add an attachment. And this is more sort of attachment centric. It doesn't have that many fields to fill out. It's just you're having this file sent around. So there are one of the big negatives to this. It looks really pretty and shiny and easy. Is just that once it goes through the approval process, it doesn't really go anywhere. So it's all just kind of here in this approvals thing in Teams. So I'm giving it a name. I gave it some details, gave it an attachment, and then I can just say approve this, and then I can just send it to somebody. But yeah, it's very, very easy and very, little amount of training that you'll need, but it's going to be, once you start trying to put something like this on like real business processes, you'll very quickly realize that this data doesn't actually go anywhere. So when you're creating real world, like more complex business processes, this is not something that you would use, because you have you literally just have to go back here and click on this in this interface to go get the file that just got approved. And the only two people that have access to it are the person that sent it and the approvers, or however many approvers it had. Now, of course, you're going to say, I'll just stop that. Of course, you're going to say, well, you could get into Dataverse and you could get into that, hack into that approvals table and get the data directly if you have a Dataverse license. But yeah, you can do that. Most people don't, in my experience. Yes, David, you have a question?
I do. What you just showed me seems to be reminiscent of the old Microsoft SharePoint document library workflows that were built in, where you could actually build it out. However, the one thing that is interesting is the fact that you could do an attachment, but the fact that it's not capturing it, it's like it's about halfway to what the SharePoint document library workflow was. Do you see them continue to work? Is this like just a work in progress, and they're saying, you know what, here's something to play with?
I feel like, no, I don't know, because I don't work at Microsoft, but I feel like this is one of those things that they're just kind of throwing things at the wall and see what sticks, and trying to and seeing that people need to have approval processes and just trying to give you something, just like end users, just something that they can do to run through. Now this has been in the product longer than that. There's a new approvals thing that's newer, where every list and library now has approvals that you can turn on, just a default, like a little approvals button, not content approval, not request sign off. It's another kind of approval that looks exactly like this. So it's like that other one, I think, is more useful because you're actually in the list or library and you can see the list of all the files and their statuses and stuff. So like this one's been in here for a few years. So I don't think this is like going any further, in my opinion. I feel like it's just for your very, very simple processes is something you could do. And for end users who are just poking around in here, it's something they might be like, oh, let me try this. I can get stuff approved. So,
I'm sure I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, but you can't tie it to an actual workflow and control where the thing goes at the end or anything like that.
Right, and therefore Power Automate approval does still connect into the same Teams thread, or I guess board, if you will.
Sort of approvals interface, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a lot more conclusive, I guess is a good way of saying it, because the Power Automate can capture the rest for you, and then you can do what you want with that data. Now, I know you've been working with Power Automate quite a bit, so I might be overstepping my bounds and kind of jumped ahead on your slide deck. I apologize.
It's okay. Yeah, no, so this is just a very, very just least common denominator, most simple approval processes you could use this. And the forms are customizable. You can click create or manage templates, and it's really just Microsoft Forms. So this thing right here that I'm filling in is a Microsoft form. And when you're building these, the custom ones, it's identical to building to adding questions to a Microsoft form. So it's just Microsoft Forms technology just sort of embedded in Teams. But the data from the form that you filled out and the attachment from the form doesn't go anywhere like a database or anything. So I'll move on. Okay, so here is, let's see, create flows. I can go to workflows. So workflows is also very similar to going to make.powerautomate.com. It's just, this is the Power Automate interface inside of Teams called workflows. So these are flows. It's a little confusing that they did that. But what they're doing here is this is all very Teams centric. So this is showing me just flows that I've created that involve Teams. So notice all these icons, these are all Teams triggers. So all the templates that it's providing you revolve around Teams data, and all of your existing flows it shows you are just the flows that you've created that revolve around Teams. But as you can see in here, you can poke around and get to all the different templates, but this is really mainly centered around Teams. It's just another way to get to the Power Automate interface, but it's just slightly dumbed down. So I don't know why I would want to go here to start building flows. I would just go to the main flow interface, but I feel like this is another one of those things where Microsoft put it in here in Teams because they know that so many people just use Teams all day, and that's just where they are all the time, and they might like stumble across this and be like, oh, I can create automations. So, and as you can see, as I start building the flow, it's got kind of like the classic interface, so it's not even like up to date to the other Power Automate interface. It's got like creating like a classic flow. So yeah.
Do you think do you think that it's possible that they put it in here so that way if you create a workflow in Microsoft Teams, it'll actually connect to a team automatically versus your personal? Because so many times people build these huge workflow solutions in Power Automate and then leave the company, and it was a like business critical or
that'd be nice. It doesn't do that though. It doesn't do that. These are just my personal flows that it's showing here, just like the other interface. And when you're creating a flow that involves teams, actions, and triggers, it's going to be really like specifically what is the action and trigger and what team is that going to be related to. But this interface where you just go to workflows in here isn't particular to a team. And when you create a flow from here, it's just going to be, you're going to be the owner, just like a regular flow. And so the best practice for what you just said for flows belonging to a certain individual and they leave the company, the best practice for that is to not create flows in here, but go to the main like Power Platform, like make.powerautomate.com, and go to solutions down the left side and create a solution and create your flows and your apps in a solution, because that's when you build them in there, then you're going to be able to change the owner later, or change the owner anytime, swap out owners. A solution, like the most simple way you can describe a solution is a folder. And so it's just a good way to organize your apps and flows. But yeah, that's a good, you would think that makes sense what you were asking, but no, that's not the case. Okay,
I have a feeling that this is Microsoft just trying to make a single pane of glass attempt again.
Yeah. So, okay, so now we're creating flows. So this isn't the slide I just did. Each of my slides has this recorded demo on it. So this is the one where you're creating flows. And I don't know why I have it spinning wheel. Yeah, I think this is the same one I just did. Yeah, okay, let me just go to the next slide. Okay, workflow from chat. Okay, so this is the one where you're chatting with someone. So I'm in a chat with Billy Bob here, and I can click the ellipsis. So let me pause that for a second. I click the ellipsis on a piece of the conversation, a specific chat, and I click the ellipsis, and then this is where I can do all these very specific things with this piece of information. So what I can do here is I can go to more actions, and then I can pick. So these flows that it's listing here, these purple icons, you can tell because they have kind of weird names. Those are flows that I've created that have Teams triggers. So these are flows. These are flows that I have access to that have Teams triggers. So I can actually kick off a flow from this conversation and potentially like take that verbiage and take that context and like have that be sort of an input into the flow. So when I go down here to more actions, I have the ability to kick off. This says like new customer demo. I can create a new poll, and then I can create a new action. So down at the very bottom, it was almost off the screen. It was create a new action. So when you are on that chat and you're kind of looking for specific things that you can do with that chat information, like assigning a task to somebody in Planner or anything you want to do with it, then this is a place that you can actually start a flow. See, it has workflow builder, it has manage, you can manage this, select the workflow that you want to kick off if you want to pick one that you've already created, and then it's got templates here. So this gives you this whole list of finding workflows, picking an existing workflow, or picking a template, and then manage will just be taking you to manage all your flows like on the previous screen. So here's where I can, I'm just kind of scroll through this list. Editors picks, all templates. And then I really like the fact that they're calling it workflows again. I like that word better than flows. So I hope that they gradually get everything changed over to be called workflows. So yeah, so that's what you can do just specifically from a chat. All right. Any questions about that? There's a lot on that little menu that you can do. Like, who knew? Just based on just that verbiage that you see there.
I've got a question on that, Laura.
Yeah.
How do you determine, like if you created a really cool flow in there and then you wanted to say share it with the rest of your team, how would you do that?
In a flow, as long as your flow has some kind of manual trigger, whether it's a Teams manual trigger or a SharePoint manual trigger, any manually triggered flows, when you are in that flow in the just the main settings screen for the flow, you have a concept called run only users. So when you make somebody else an owner of a flow, they can actually edit the flow itself. They can run it, but they can also change the design of the flow, which you don't want most of your users doing that. But if you add a whole group of people as run only users, then all those people in the group or whoever you add will have the ability to see that in their list and click to kick that flow off.
So if they're added there, then that option will automatically populate into their context menu?
Yes.
Cool.
I haven't tested that lately, but it should still do that.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so I'll go next. So this one is, now we're going to talk about a little bit more advanced, because now we're over in that main Power Automate screen where this is the Flow Designer. So now we're talking about Teams connectors. So if you just type Teams here and you click See More, you have a long list of Teams connectors. You have, look at all these triggers. Like these are just the triggers right here. Let me go back a little bit. There's this, just whole list of Teams triggers when a new channel message is added. And that would be, you'd pick specifically which channel you would point that to. When I'm mentioned, when someone responds, when I'm mentioned, when a new chat message is added, when a new team member is added. So like you have a lot of different things in Teams that can kick off your flow. I have one that I created one of those org-wide teams, and which means when you create a team that's an org-wide team, everybody in the organization automatically gets added to that team as they join the organization. So I had some onboarding stuff that I wanted to do, that I wanted to automate every time there was somebody new in the company. So I created a flow that just said when a new team member is added, and then it did all these things. And I just pointed to the org-wide team that everybody automatically gets added to. So that was kind of a little fun hack there. All right, so then I pick when keywords are mentioned. So then, of course, in a flow, every different trigger and action that you pick is going to have different options in it. So this specific one says somebody mentions the word project and they mention a specific channel. Then, let's see, let me go back to, that was just showing just one action of what, let me put it back over there. Oh yeah, I think I might have accidentally rewind it. Okay, I see what I'm doing here. Okay, so I'm showing you, the thing I showed you a second ago was the triggers. So there was a long list of triggers that will kick off your flow. Now we have an even longer list of all the actions that you can add to your flow, of all the things that you want to happen when it gets triggered. So you don't have to have a Teams trigger to use the Teams actions. You can have something, an email arriving or something being created in a SharePoint list, and that can kick off a Teams action. So you can combine, of course, all the different connectors and all the different apps, within a flow. So these are just going to be, this is going to be the list of all the different actions you can do: create a chat, get messages, list all the members of a team, reply, respond in Teams, Microsoft Graph, HTTP request, update an adaptive card, add a member to a team, create a channel. So I had one that I did recently for a customer where they were spending all this time creating channels every time they had a new project, and they had all these channels and folders they were doing. So I just used the create a channel action, create a flow for them that just says, okay, when I create a new project, which is over in this other list, then it's just going to go create a channel for that project in Teams. And so I gave them a little interface where they got to pick which team it would go to, because in the Power App, I was able to use a Teams connector too, because in just all these connectors are available in Power Apps and Power Automate. So in Power Apps, I was able to provide them a list of teams. They pick a team, and I sent that to the flow, and then it would create the channel in that team. So and again, as I'm going through these things, just think about things that you do every day that are just like multiple steps that you have to do every time. And those are all things that you can automate. So I'm just scrolling through, and they're constantly adding new actions too. So it even has tags like Teams tags in there. Now here we have adaptive cards. Adaptive cards are, so before I push play, what are adaptive cards? When you use that, if you've ever used that approval action in a flow, or if you've ever received an approval, something that needs your approval, and you get that pretty little email with it says it's from Power Automate, and it says you have this thing to approve, and it has the pretty little approve and reject buttons in the email. And then when you click approve or reject, the little comment box pops out. It's dynamic, and then you can type a comment, and it's like filling out a form right in an email. So that is an adaptive card. So you have the ability to build adaptive cards. So it's almost like you could be building a little custom form, really, and then you could present that little tiny little adaptive card form or whatever it is to people in Teams. So that's just another way of another possible way of having people fill out forms in your organization. So you can go to this, I think it's adaptivecards.io. You could just Bing it or Google it, and it's pretty easy to get to. It's just a Microsoft website. And they've actually, you'll notice that it's got this big splashy thing across the top that's telling you it has a new location. See how I'm like highlighting it here, that it's new. So what you're going to do is go ahead and go to the new adaptive card designer, because it's much slicker. It's got much better adaptive card samples and things like that. So now I'm in this designer interface. So I don't know code. I don't know if I mentioned that, but I'm not a developer, and I'm not a programmer. I don't know how to write JSON. So I love these little just WYSIWYG kind of interfaces that Microsoft provides. So what I can do is, let me go back to where, hold on. Sorry, did I? Okay. I keep clicking on things and it's making it jump. So what I want to highlight, kind of what I clicked on inside of this designer. First of all, change it to a light theme, but I click new card at the top left. So clicking new card at the top left, it's not the most obvious thing because you can't see like a list. It doesn't say templates. It doesn't have anything obvious like all around the screen as to what to click to start using templates. So you click new card at the top left, and then you could just scroll through here and just get inspired. I mean, these are beautiful. These are all templates that you can use. So what you're going to do is just scroll through here and find something that looks similar to kind of what you're trying to achieve. And then you're going to be able to just go click that and then start tweaking it and making your own. So I'll just kind of show you what all these look like. These are really cool. You're like, hey team, what do y'all want for lunch? And you send them a list of, with pictures of foods to pick from. So I pick one, and then what I'm doing is I can see that it's got like little text blocks, it's got columns, it's got icons, it's got all these different little just pieces and parts that I can add and modify in here. So I can, I know adaptive cards are awesome, aren't they? So it's got, on the far right, it's got element properties where you can give all of your columns names. It's got, tweak it to your liking, change it as much as you can, especially if you know JSON, it'll be easier. But something cool that you can do, and so I was actually teaching I was speaking at TechCon in Atlanta last week, and I did this session on how to do custom buttons with JSON in your SharePoint lists and libraries. Just have like a button in a column to kick off flows or change values and stuff like that. But what you can do is you can get Copilot or any other AI to write this JSON code for you. So you don't have to know code. You can take something that looks maybe close to what you want and take that code and say, hey, Copilot, make this so it's got this or add this, and like see if Copilot can help you. It was really helpful. I did it live in a demo with Copilot, like it live during a presentation, and it actually was useful, and it created like pretty little buttons for me. So again, this is going to be a great little interface for you to create your adaptive card. And then there are some actions in Power Automate that say, send an adaptive card to someone. You could send it to a person. You could send it to a channel. And then you have send adaptive card and wait for response. And then that way you could have a flow. Your flow could actually like take the data, whatever they're filling in or whatever they click, and have that go back to the flow. Anything in Power Automate though that waits for a response is going to have that like 28-day limit where it's going to time out. So just kind of heads up on that. Any question about the adaptive cards concept? Okay, move on. And then we have chat with the Flowbot. So again, when you go to the workflows, when you go to the left panel and you choose workflows here, that's going to take you to, earlier I did this demo and I was on the home page and it showed me a list of all my flows. Well, you can go home, see all your flows. You can click create a new flow, and then you go to chat and you can chat with the chat bot. So what you can do is you can, just a simple thing you can do is list all of your flows. So what it's doing is it's only listing flows that that are either triggered on a schedule or triggered manually with no input. So it's not going to list every single flow that you have that you've created. It's just going to have these stipulations. But what it can do is you can just type a number and it will trigger that flow. So the flow will just go. So I could just say I create a flow that gets all of my flows and it like puts it in a spreadsheet. It's really cool. So I could just say type a number 5 and get all my flows. And this is not the most useful in the real world. I've never gone to Teams specifically to chat with a bot just to kick off a flow. That seems like a very roundabout way to kick off a flow. I usually would just go straight to my main list of flows and just push the play button. But this is just an interesting another little weird nuance of all the integration points between Power Automate and Teams. So, all right, I'll go next.
Laura, just out of curiosity, every time I hear the word bot, I usually associate another cost with that. Is that for Teams Premium? Is that in preview? Or is that something that actually is out of box?
That's just out of box.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Usually the premium, I avoid premium as much as possible. Usually the premium cost is going to just be when you are using premium connectors. So the Teams connector is not premium, SharePoint's not premium, Excel, kind of all those main things are not premium. So premium is going to be like SQL, Dataverse. So you could literally just have a regular old E1 license and do most everything you need to do, even with Power Apps and Power Automate. I feel like that's a big misconception that people have, that they have to have a Power Apps or a Power Automate license. Have you come across that?
Yeah. When it comes to premium connectors, whether it's per flow license or per user license, it also all depends on the situation and understanding. I think the breaking point, if memory serves correctly, is like around 512 people of what as far as cost is concerned. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's that's the reason why I asked the question, because I'm always curious. When I hear bot, it's like, is there another cost associated with it?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, so, well, that one's included, but and we work with a lot of small businesses, and a lot of small businesses can't necessarily afford the premium connectors because it's something like, I don't know, $40 per user per month or something. There are various, of course, levels that you can do, but a lot of the companies I work with are not going to pay that extra amount at all for premium connectors or premium anything. So we do a lot of work with flows and Power Apps that just involve SharePoint lists. I know SharePoint is not a database, but use a lot of SharePoint lists and in Teams and those kind of connectors. And a lot of the times we avoid the premium ones. So. Mike said we have an adaptive card that posts to the prospects channel of our sales team anytime someone fills out the contact us form on our website. Oh, an MX lookup. That is cool. That is a good idea. I like that. I like hearing like these real world examples. So, yeah. So just now we're kind of on the part where you're thinking about automation opportunities and customizing flows and getting like maybe creating flows that are maybe more advanced. So just even if you're not doing this at a global level or at an organization-wide level, start thinking about your manual, repetitive, and time-consuming tasks and evaluate them just based on frequency, complexity, and potential for error. Like if you have a task that involves some just SharePoint and email and Teams and some basic things like that, that's good low-hanging fruit. There's another product that is premium that's called Power Automate Desktop. And Power Automate Desktop lets you combine. So let's say I have a process where I have to go to this website. I have to go find this person in a list of users. I have to copy their email address. I have to go over to this Excel spreadsheet and I have to paste it. And then I have to take this and go open this other software. And just think about processes where you're clicking on a lot of different like websites and different products. Power Automate Desktop is going to be good for that. Now, of course, you have to think about how long it takes to set that up because it's kind of time consuming to test that stuff, but it might be worth it for, if you're spending an hour every day or a couple hours every week on something. Typically what you do is you do this and you find things that you can personally make more efficient, and then you spread the word, and then you start telling your colleagues, and next thing you know, you start having internal user group meetings and internally like sharing ideas. And then the next thing you know, you're creating workflows that make the whole company efficient or make an entire department more efficient. So it's really just a matter of starting to kind of get into that mindset to think about what you can automate.
Too bad automation won't go out and remove and plug in a HDMI cable for me.
That is true. It won't plug in the HDMI cable. I have a customer recently that was like printing stuff out and passing it around for signatures. I'm just like, that's easy. That's definitely something that you can automate. Like don't print papers and bring it from desk to desk. So just think about, again, identifying automation opportunities. Think about any kind of communication you're doing, like emails and chats, collaboration on files, data management and tasks. And then just think about all the approval processes. Just, in your company, you can probably think of like 50 different forms and approval processes that you have that are maybe arduous and painful. So automate your approvals to reduce your manual work, like passing things around for signature. Ensure your consistency in approval processes. So inherently, it's going to be more consistent if it's automated. Increase efficiency and speed up approvals. And then it is easy for end users to create approvals. It's just, like I said, the ones that are very easy are not as useful once your approvals process starts getting more complex. So that's kind of my favorite thing that I do in my job is building business processes and automating business processes, building forms and workflows, and making things more efficient. And usually, when somebody hands me a form and starts talking about their approval process, most cases, the form is pretty quick and easy to build in a Power App or a list form or whatever it happens to be. And the approval process is usually the most painful because approval processes can get just crazy complicated. They could have all these weird requirements, and they're all different. It's impressive how different every single approval process is. So the approval process is usually like, it might take 5 to 10 hours to just create this Power App form, and then 20 or 30 hours to build your very crazy complicated approval process. So kind of just keep that in mind, that once you start doing custom ones, then it starts getting a little crazy. Just some workflow concepts now, if you are delving into Power Automate for the first time. We'll talk about step-by-step, just what you go through. First of all, you define the trigger. What is going to kick off the flow? Is it going to be manual? Is it going to be automatic? Is it going to be on a schedule? Add actions to be performed, and then configure each one of those actions, and then save and test the flow. So, and then we think about triggers. Just in the real world, in my experience, most triggers are not going to be manual. Usually you just have something automatically kicking off if someone creates an item in SharePoint, or if someone uploads a file or receives an email, and they're usually just automatic. So because to rely on an end user going out of their way to click a button to start a flow, a lot of the times they're just not going to do it. So those are the triggers. And then you could potentially have conditions in your flow. If this happens, go this way. If not, go this way. And then actions are just all the things that happen in your flow. So this is what it looks like in the flow design surface. You have the very first thing, the first box at the top in the middle, and mine says when a file is created, that's the trigger. So every flow can just have one trigger. And that's always just going to be the first box. It's usually what you start with. And then the next action in this one is to go get that person's manager, and then it's going to start and wait for an approval. So as I click on each of these boxes, then this little panel will fly out on the left side, and you can pin. There's a little ellipsis that lets you pin an action so that you can have like two actions showing here together next to each other if you needed to do that. But what you're going to do here is fill in a combination of dynamic data and just text that you type. So notice that I put a title, approve this document, but then for the details, I included basically the file name in here. It's going to mention the file name, and then the link that somebody clicks on to open the file is going to have the file name, and it's going to have just the link to that item. But you notice I'm combined, they're color coded. So like Get Manager is the Office 365 users connector is orange. So those are all going to be orange. The SharePoint is going to be this lovely SharePoint turquoise. And then as you're building a flow, you have Copilot on the right side. So Copilot is going to be there, and that is not a license, not an extra license. It's just automatically going to be there. You can use Copilot to just create the flow from the beginning for you, just on the main screen of make.powerautomate.com. It says, what would you like to build? And it just has a spot for a prompt where you can just type a prompt and have Copilot build the whole thing. But whether or not you get Copilot to build your flow, you still have Copilot on the right. So there are a few things that you can do with that. You're going to be able to get it to, you can describe to it what kind of actions that you want it to add. And then especially if you're not familiar with what all the actions are, then it will be giving you examples. You can say, send an email or create an item in SharePoint, and it will add those actions for you. Now, the thing about it is that even when it adds the actions, you still have to know how to go over on the left side and configure this. So that's kind of a hit or miss. Even sometimes when I try to describe to it what I want it to do, what I want it to have in these boxes, it still doesn't reliably do that. David said, has anyone actually had success with Copilot creating a full flow? And well, so some other things you can do with it are going to be, it can give you help with expressions. So I did this whole session on this specific thing, Copilot in Power Automate. And the idea that I was conveying was that you have like 3 levels of like your expertise of how familiar you are with Power Automate. And I say, like, when you're level 1, that's brand new to you, it helps to be able to ask Copilot questions about what actions you'd use, or ask it to help you edit actions, add them. You can ask it questions about the actions, like what do they do? And then I feel like once you get to level 2, when you're kind of familiar with all the actions and you're familiar with kind of just the way to add them all in here, it's not as useful to use Copilot, because you literally can just click and add your actions and just type the names and put them in there yourself. It's faster. But when you get to level 3, I feel like level 3 is like when you're more advanced. Then there's some things in here that you can do, like troubleshooting. You can ask it more about maybe an error that it's getting. You can ask it to write expressions. There's an expression builder in here that has Copilot in it, and you can ask it to write expressions for you. So and another really cool thing, and Vlad's the one that told me about this, is you can get it to not only describe your flow, but if you get very specific with your prompt, like describe every action in this flow and what it does, and I'm going to use this as documentation, you're actually creating documentation of your flow using Copilot. So that's something that doesn't exist out of the box, just like documentation of a flow. So you can get Copilot to fully write out documentation of what the flow is doing. So I thought that was a good idea that he had. Yeah, exactly. Let's see. So I'll do a demo of the approvals app in Teams. Let's see. This is going to be tricky because I'm using Teams for the presentation. So let me see. So here's the meeting that I'm in. Hold on. Let me know if I can. Maybe I'll just pull it up in the browser. That's what I'll do. I'll just pull it up in the browser. I'll go to my little fake tenant here. And then I've got over here, approvals. Let me zoom in. And so this is that screen that I was referring to with, all the approvals that it lists here. And then here is that new approval request button that I was showing you. And I'll go ahead and do one that's fairly simple and then show you what that looks like. But then we'll show you how to manage the templates in here too. So let's see, test. Approvers, do I want to require responses in the assigned order? I'm just going to put myself in here so they don't have to go try and log in as different people doing this. So now this is really serial versus parallel. So if you change it to serial, then you're going to be adding people down the list. It's up to 10 people where you can list them down here. And then otherwise, it's going to send, like if you put multiple people in here, it's just going to send it to them all at the same time. If you put multiple people, it also gives you the ability to require a response from everyone or just whoever happens to be the first person that clicks the button. So this is just some fields that it has. Custom responses is if you don't want to approve or reject, you want to make up your own responses. Yep. Nope. And then this is if you have a different a different Power Platform environment that you need this to use. I'm not sure how end users are going to know what that is, but so then it's sending my approval request, and then I'll show you what it looks like to manage those templates. And then I think I'm going to show you what the approvals looks like in the lists and libraries too, because it's a very similar interface and it's also out of the box, and you'll probably like it better than this one because it stays in context of that list or library. Okay, so you're only going to be able to manage. So I click Create or Manage Templates, and notice that I've got several that I've created, but I've got a little drop down here. So I'm not going to be able to create org-wide templates unless I'm a Teams admin. So if you're not a Teams admin, so I've got like specific people. So anybody can send one of these to specific people. And if you are an owner of a team, then you'll be able to create one that's just specific to that team. So now I can say, all right, I want to create one in this team. I'll just go org-wide and I'll just say new template. And then it's got a bunch of templates I can pick from. I'll say request for interoffice. And it's really, I just want to show you really quick, it's a very nice little easy wizard that end users are going to be able to understand easily. Anybody that can create a Microsoft form is going to be able to do this. I don't know why this is taking so long. It's like it knows I'm doing a demo.
Of course it does. Welcome to Murphy's Law.
Yeah. Okay, here's one for a business card. So it's showing me what all the fields are going to be, which I'll be able to edit in a minute. So I go next. What kind of template is this going to be? I'll just say org wide. And then this is the basic settings of just the name of it and what category it's in and a description of this template. And then the next thing I get is, sorry, it's on dark mode. It's a little weird looking, but this is Microsoft Forms. So notice this interface looks exactly like Forms. So I can delete this question. I can change this to, make it not required. I can add more questions in here. So notice it's just exactly like creating Microsoft Forms. So I adjust it however I want, click next. And do I want to require an attachment? Maybe not. Do I want to program in who the approvers are? So this is kind of cool. So you have the option of letting the requester enter who the approvers are, but I can hard code in who the approvers are into the template so that people can't change the approvers. So I can put those in here. I'll just put Billy. Oh, let's see. I can say the first one, maybe let the requester enter. The first one is this person. The second one, let the requester enter. The third one is the direct manager. So you have all those options for all of your different levels of approvals. And I could even combine, like if I say specify approvers, I can combine them so it would go to these people at the same time. So you have a lot of flexibility in here for, especially for being a nice little easy wizard. And then do I want to require them to make comments? I can say yes. Now I'm previewing what this is going to look like when it goes to people and then publish it. So I can make changes, just go back and forth through the little wizard. And now I have this business card template so that now anybody in the organization, I'll just go out of here. Now when they do a new approval request, they'll be able to have business card. I've done that one twice. They'll be able to have business card to pick from. You have a question, David?
I do. What would you say the best practice would be for an organization? Because I can see this very quickly spiraling because everyone wants to be so helpful. Granted, you have a very limited number of teams admins to be able to make these globals, but at the same time, that is something that I would think would need some level of direction and understanding.
I feel like when you get to the org-wide level with needing things to be approved, you're not going to be using this.
Fair.
When you get to the org-wide level for forms and approval processes, it's usually going to be more complex and it's usually going to have a lot more functionality than this tool. So I feel like it's not going to be that common that people are going to want to have these be org-wide. And if they just need something very small and simple for their team, that actually makes more sense for such a simple tool. What do you think? Does anybody have any opinion on that?
No, I think I agree with you. For example, Staples, most of our heavy action flows are going to be in ServiceNow, as an example. Mm-hmm. Versus something like this. I'm just curious to know, once this is known by our team's admin, is it going to be something that they attempt to pursue or not?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't see it being that useful for because again, let me go back. I'll show you. Once the thing gets approved, I mean, where is it? This is just got my data here. I can save this as a PDF, which literally takes this exact box and makes it a PDF. So where's the data? It's not anywhere,
So if we were doing this for a document, it would not actually change the document from in creation to published or anything like that?
No,
then?
because you're uploading the document into the approval. Like you're just putting the document in here and as an attachment. So it doesn't live in SharePoint or anywhere.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah. So it's, yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with your assessment there, Laura. This is not something that you would use for enterprise-wide. This is within your department only.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's going to be painful getting the data out of there. So, okay, so this other approval thing is, let me, I'll turn this off and turn it back on, and because I was just demoing this the other day. This is just a work progress tracker list, and just I created a new list on my site, and I just used that template called work progress tracker. And so these are just some little fake work progress tracker, just regular SharePoint list items. This functionality that I'm about to show you exists in lists and libraries, though. So I'm just showing you this real quick so you can see how similar it is, but more useful than the other approvals. So you go to automate and you have this little button that says configure approvals, and you enable approvals, and that will turn on this like modern approval thing. And then you can see that I've already been using it because some of them already say requested. So I'll just say I want to send this for approval. I can click this button and it has the name of the item already as the name of the approval. And then I can say, I'll just put myself in here again. Oh, that's a tester. And then same exact concept with requiring them in the assigned order or not, if you want it to be serial, requiring requests from all response from all the users, and then you submit. So once you submit it, it's creating the approval request, and once it's been submitted, it says requested. And so notice these other ones say requested, and then you're going to get one of those Teams pop-ups that just like you get when you get a little approval request. It's going to look kind of like this, but you get this in Teams, but you can also just click on it right there in the list or library. And then since it was sent to me as an approver, then this is where I can approve or reject it. And then I can see these other ones were requested, and I can go look at those. So this one says it's pending a response. This one is, yeah, those are just other ones that I've sent to myself. Notice now I approved that one. Now it says approved. Now watch how cool this is. I'll go edit this item, and I'll just say blah. I'll just make some kind of change to it. Watch this. This is much better. So it says this item has been submitted for approval and it was already approved or rejected. Editing this item will reset the request, and you'll need to resubmit to ensure the approver sees the updated information. So that's pretty cool. I like that. So yes, I do want to change the item, but now it's not submitted anymore. So I kind of like diverged from my Teams and Power Automate topic, but I kind of wanted to show you that other out-of-the-box approvals compared to this out-of-the-box approval. There's one more cool thing that you can do real quick having to do with this out-of-the-box approval is you can create a quick step based on using that approval setting. You have to turn that approval setting on in your list or library, but you can send an approval request to, and you can pick like a column from your list and test approval. And you can say, do you want it to pop up and say you're sending an approval and let them change it, or do you want it to just go immediately? And then you can display this approval conditionally based on some kind of condition in your list. So this is test approval. That's just what I created. Now I can go run my quick step. See, it says test approval. So I'll just click it, and then it goes. So I told it to just go immediately and not have a dialog box. So that's just another little out of the box. I get some of these out of the box approvals that they're putting in SharePoint are much more useful than kind of some of that stuff I showed you in Teams. But obviously you're not doing anything in Teams from here, but you could have your list on a tab in Teams, and then you could still do these things, and then technically you'd be in Teams. So, all right, I'll go back to the slides. Any questions about either of those?
I just want to say that is actually pretty clean, because honestly, Laura, you know, ever since 2013 workflows have gone the way of the dodo, there's been an absolute void
Yeah.
And it's been nothing but nightmare fuel.
Yeah, really. Another bonus to these is that in Power Automate, if you want to do additional automation, there is in the trigger, you can have like when an item or file is modified trigger for your flow, and then look at this data. So this is a column that you'll be able to see in that trigger, and that way you'll be able to see if it was approved, and then you could have a flow that does other stuff. So you could incorporate this out of the box thing with like other actions that you want to happen. When somebody approves it, it goes and creates a file over here or creates a task in Planner or just what like other stuff you might want it to do. All right, so just we're just going to talk a little bit more. Just I got to switch this. Just more automation use cases, just things to think about. And somebody you were mentioning this in the chat about sales processes and sales automation. Create a new quote for approval. After approval, a quote gets sent to a customer. Sales team gets notified via Teams channel message. Just some ideas. HR process automation. There's a lot of opportunity for automating HR processes in a lot of cases. Flow triggers for a new employee. Think about that trigger that I mentioned earlier with a member getting added to a team, and it just happens to be an org-wide team. So every new employee would trigger the flow. It creates a welcome message for them, assigns various tasks to various teams of people to start doing that onboarding process. Schedules orientation meetings. You can schedule meetings with the Outlook actions in a flow, and then you can have it collect all necessary forms and documents. Another use case, IT support automation. You can have potentially a SharePoint list. If you're not using something fancy like ServiceNow, and maybe if you're a smaller company or a small team with your own little IT support list, have a flow that triggers when a support ticket, like a list item, gets created. You can have it post in Teams to alert the team, the people that might need to work on it. You can notify people as the ticket status changes. There's actually something called a flow in Power Automate. This is kind of a more advanced concept, but there's something called a trigger condition. It's a little more advanced, but embedded inside of the settings of a trigger. You can set it to only trigger when, say, like status equals closed or approval equals approved, or what some value of some field equals a certain thing. That would be the only thing that kicks off that trigger. So you can get very specific in your flows when you automate them. If you want specific flows to only kick off when under a certain condition in the first place, so you don't have just flows running all the time for no reason. As opposed to having to wait and do it in a condition, it can just, the trigger condition can just be built in so the flow doesn't trigger at all. Just best practices. Like I mentioned, create solutions. So just in the Power Automate interface, you'll see solutions on the left side. And again, it's kind of like a folder. There's a lot that you can do with them that's more advanced, but you could just use them as folders and build your flows and apps and things in the solutions. And then solutions, what you can do with them is you can build multiple environments like dev, test, production, and then you can create what's called a pipeline, and that you take that solution and you move it from dev to test to production through the pipeline. So that's when you get very, very fancy. Just be sure to use descriptive and consistent names for your flows, set up error handling to handle failures gracefully, or at least have it send you an email when it fails. Test your flows thoroughly, include notes in your flows, so you can rename the actions in your flows, but you can also add notes to each action. And then don't forget you can use Copilot for help and documentation. So just going forward, explore Power Automate. Just think about, this is like your homework, go think of 2 opportunities for something you can automate. Download the Power Automate mobile app. Those little approval alerts will pop up for you to be able to approve them on the go. Brainstorm for automation opportunities with your colleagues. And of course, take my online Power Automate courses. I have a Power Automate Basics and Power Automate Advanced. The advanced one is like 10 hours long. It's very, very detailed. All right, and any last questions? And here's my QR code with like my more information. All my social links are on that page. Thanks for having me.
Feel free to jump off of mute and ask you a question, or if you're shy, feel free to put in the chat. Either or is fine.
Bring back InfoPath, haha, says Mike. That's funny. Death to InfoPath.
I want InfoPath and I want my SharePoint designer.
The good old days. It's so funny because people just, they're holding out. All these companies that still have all these InfoPath forms, like now it's almost 2026. Sure. And they just think that Microsoft's going to create something that's like an easy button that will migrate from InfoPath to Power Apps, but that's never going to happen. It's not. It doesn't exist. It's never going to exist. And I feel like a lot of companies just waited, thinking that would happen.
Yeah. I like InfoPath though. I did a lot of good forms in it. I did a lot with it.
Yeah, me too.
It was definitely. It was definitely powerful, but at the same time, it worked better on-prem than cloud as far back as I can remember. I could be wrong, but it was definitely more on-prem focused.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely started having severe browser issues as modern browsers started coming out.
Yep. And
any
the
other
behavior.
Questions for Laura? Does anybody have any other questions?
Laura, you have no idea how much I was holding back. I just wanted to have a back and forth.
It's the Laura and David show.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Brought to you by the letter Q and the number 13. Fabulous.
That's fun. I like that. Thanks everybody for coming. It was a blast.
Again, Laura, thank you so much for taking time. I know you've been busy. I think you've been just finished traveling to Atlanta, right?
Yeah. Well, I just drove there. It wasn't a big deal.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. You're in the. I keep forgetting.
I'm in Birmingham.
South.
Yeah.
Yep. Not too bad.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We really do appreciate it. Some really amazing stuff. Like I said, I was holding back because there was so much I wanted to just do it back and forth with you. So thank you. For those of you who want to see it on the retake, don't worry. Laura's going to start out. No, just kidding. We're going to actually put this up on YouTube. Check out our YouTube channel. If you have an interest to speak, we'll love to have you. We do have next month and the following month. We have Mitchell Levy speaking next month, and we'll have Conwall from to Lead speaking in October. Looking for someone for November. So looking for anyone who, and don't worry, you don't have to be a professional speaker. Trust me, I am definitely not a professional speaker. You can tell I like trip over everything, but especially today, because I'm excited because I was like totally psyched about the fact that we were having Laura speak. And like I said, the last time she and I saw each other on the speaking circuit was about 10 years ago. So I was stoked.
Thank you.
And Mike, you had a question?
Really just a comment on this. I'd actually love to come back and do a presentation for you guys, but I'm feeling kind of uninspired. So I'm really interested in if anybody has any topics that they'd like to hear about around Office 365, the Power Platform, PowerShell, or even AI stuff. I'm currently building memory systems for AI, so I'm working on graph databases and temporal memory systems, although that's probably far more technical than we usually do for this group. Yeah, so if anybody has any topics, let me know. Shout them out or put them in chat.
Shoot them in chat for sure, to be sure. Awesome.
Bye. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Laura.
Take care, Laura.
Thank you, Laura. Take care. the upcoming community events. Collab Days New England, scheduled, and will be on October 17th in Burlington. And this is going to be on a Friday. So, and then also Microsoft Ignite. Are you going to Ignite, David, or anybody?
It depends. I'm going to be submitting to speak there. If I speak, then yes. But Collab Days, just so you all know, is absolutely amazing, and I definitely recommend it. You're not losing a Saturday because it used to be known as SharePoint Saturdays back in the day. And honestly, for companies who are looking for very cheap training, allowing you to go to this is a great way to kind of plug it, so to speak, because of the fact the price tag of free is always a good thing, and the quality of speakers is going to be it's like through the roof. It's absolutely amazing. It's a who's who of who's speaking at Collab Days New England in this year.
And then we have local community events. Check them out. Go to pnp.github.io and you can get the updated list. These are in Eastern time. That list, I think, is in another time zone. I forget which one. Probably Central or something. All right. And then the other community events as well. We do then you put Woman in Saturday. Woman Office 365 Woman event. That's getting very popular, I heard. We need to get some information on that. I'll post that.
We do.
Yeah. And related user groups in that area. From Rhode Island to Granite State to Boston Azure and the other Azure groups.
And some meet more often than others, so just make sure you check out their websites, and that way you don't actually end up somewhere with no one else there.
And this is the part where we can stop the recording. Who started the recording? We can stop it. You started, David? I think you did.
So let me go ahead and fix that really quick. No, actually, it might have been Dimitri.
Must have been, yep. Yep. I forgot to start it. Did we do a recording?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
it's
It's
still
currently recording.
Oh.
Worst case, you'll have to cut it, and we'll just skip the part of work and looking for work to protect all those who are present and accounted for.
And then it stops when everybody leaves the recording. Is that how it works?
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
What we can have Dimitri do is, and this is one thing I actually did in the YouTube video on my channel, was it's always good to have co-organizers in situations like this. Scott Helmers, you got a question for us?
I do. I have a question from Mike, actually. I heard you mention Teams Phone before that you were enjoying using.
I love it.
I'm in a situation where I've got a voice over IP provider that's too old and too expensive, and I was looking at making that change. I just wondered how easy the transition was.
So that's not really a fair question for me because we signed up for it when it was a beta product, and we actually started with new phone numbers that we bought through Microsoft.
Okay.
So we didn't have to go through the transfer process. However, it's essentially no different than transferring a phone line from any one carrier to any other carrier.
That was my hope.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that is actually correct.
Okay. And service has been good. You've not had any issues with call completion, call drops, anything like that? I presume.
No. If anything, it's far better. I get better call quality. And because it's over the internet, I don't have to worry about coverage areas.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Good.
I've been on it since they first introduced the PSTN service as a beta. I was actually on the advisory board for the beta service for it and loved it.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great question. Anyone else who has a question, concern, comment, idea? Really bad dad joke I can steal.
Do you really want to throw that one out there with me on this call?
Oh crap, Paul, you're still here. Never mind. I forgo that. Oh, too funny. And that's why I love this community, because there's a sense of humor to be had by all. All right, moving on. Again, huge thanks to Turn Digital for being our platinum sponsor and keeping the lights on. If it has been for them and all our other sponsors, and I think that's on the next slide, we would not be in our almost 11th year. I think we're like really close to on the cusp of 11th year.
No, we passed it. It was in April.
Oh, did we? Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we are in our 11th year. I for some reason I was thinking October, but you know me, it's like.
Nope, it was April.
All right.